explain into depth without spoiling anything. So, just as a quick little video for today, it might not end up being quick because there's quite a bit of information here, but I'll try to do it as seamlessly as possible. We have environment survival, building and crafting, enemies, and co-op. So there is quite a bit of news for each one. Enemies and survival are the main things that I'll be going over today because there's the most information on them. But I guess we'll just start off with the environment since that's kind of the main attraction, I guess. So these are all pretty much direct cuts from the articles themselves, so some of it may be in first person, some of it may be the interviewer talking about the developer themselves. So just bear in mind if there's any reading issues, that's what it'll be. Now, the first one here, they're talking a little bit about the setting here, and I'll just kind of introduce this and kind of go straight on as fast as I can after that. Remember, these are all from different articles, so it may be a little bit awkward to put together at some times. They've aimed for the sort of forest location you'd find in North America. In the first trailer you can see much more tropical plants, but however these were placeholders and they were improved or replaced over time, which was one of my main concerns where I've seen some of the wildlife and the vegetation seemed a little bit off for a North American setting, but I think they're really starting to tune it down and make it a lot more immersive, I guess. Now, here's a quote from them. It says, "Our vision was always a game in which half the time was a place that you really wanted to be, and then at night it's when the horror starts. Our main goal is to really just do something completely different." Now, creating a world that invites exploration is a key priority for us in the game. Making areas diverse and interesting, as well as having a large enough world to make exploration worthwhile is essential for a game like this. Some areas of the game can only be reached by building certain items such as rafts, and we have areas that are accessible only by traversing certain caves within the game. Players that explore more will also be rewarded by finding rare crafting items for creating some of the cooler items in game. He also noted that the scaling of the world map has been hard to correct, but their main goal was large enough to get lost in, but really dense. There should always be something interesting for the player to find or see. Food and shelter will be a big part of the game. We try and give players as many options as possible to survive in the world. Some players will want to find and loot suitcases from the plane crash to survive, and others will search for natural lakes and try to catching and trapping food by themselves. Players will be able to choose if they want to focus on building up their shelter and defenses, or if they just want to go out and explore and kind of live off the land like that. It's true they are trying to keep handholding to a minimum in the game. Because of that, they are trying to make all the gameplay systems as simple and straightforward to use as possible. We can also put hints in the world about how things work. For example, a locked suitcase might have a rock sitting next to it. Most players can then figure out that you can pick up the rock and smash open the case, and then they usually try to see what else they can smash with the rock, which ideally I would, because that's one of the main things of the game, I guess. Players will be able to find out more about the forest and its inhabitants, but there won't be any audio logs or voiceovers, so those days of listening very carefully to audio logs in case you miss something, those days are over. It's all about what you take the time to look at and how deep you go to find what you want to know. We want players to discover things on their own, should they choose to. We hope people will go out and explore to try to piece together the stories we leave for them. So that's kind of cool. It's left there, and if you want to pick it up, you can. If not, you can just kind of let it go. Now, that was all for the environment mostly. We'll move on to building and crafting. Now, some of these weren't from articles. I've seen a couple comments from Ben on different threads. I think NeoGaf was the main one, and basically he was just kind of clarifying some of the aspects of building, which I was quite curious about actually myself. You have the option to build a bunch of different prefabricated structures, things like small shelters seen in the trailer, as well as things like a log cabin, a raft, etc. There are a bunch now, and there will be more added. But also you have the option to just construct individual walls, floors, fences, roofs, etc. And therefore you can make pretty much whatever you want. As for repetition, the game is about choosing how to choose, sorry about that. The game is about choosing how to survive, so if you don't want to build anything at all, you don't have to. You can try living on the plane crash for a while, finding a safe area, or simply being a nomad from making little tent shelter to tent shelter. There will be an assortment of weapons you can craft in the game. Simple clubs and spears can be upgraded to more deadly variations. Most of them will be made out of items you can find around the forest or in the caves. But we also have different kinds of traps you can build, as well as deadly explosives and firebombs. Players will need to make use of all these tools in creative ways in order to deal with the cannibal threat. We're trying to give as many options as possible for crafting, from clothing to keep you warm to more advanced spears and complex traps and tools. Players can mix plants to create medicine or loot luggage to find prescription pills from the plane crash. I'm not really sure how the healing system is going to work, but it seems like it might be a little bit of trial and error and a lot of learning from your mistakes, I guess. Now, on to the enemies. We wanted to make an enemy that does a bit more than just run at you and try to kill you. We found that it's a lot more scary when the enemy is unpredictable and more human. These cannibals have family loyalties and have their own agenda that is not just about hunting you. You are the invader in their forest, and they will protect it in any way they can. We do have shark infested oceans. However, most of the animals in the game won't be a threat to you. We want the focus of the game to be surviving against a cannibal threat. Speaking of them, far from the mindless killing machines, mutants do not wake up and decide to instantly go out on the hunt for you. In fact, they will not even know of your existence until your paths cross and your conflict ensues over territorial or resource disputes. Kill an animal that they're hunting, or get in their way, you can expect retaliation. So the mutants have proper day and night routines that they give them, and lots of things to do around the forest besides hunting you. So that's cool. You can maybe if you go unseen, you can notice them doing their own thing, and you might even be able to learn something about them just watching them. Now, at the start of the game, when we're low on resources and still working out how best to survive, let alone take on mutants, getting involved in direct encounters is likely going to be or result in your early grave. If you do happen to come across some of them at this point, stealth is probably going to be the best option. Defensive traps can be crafted, deployed around your shelter. Wet mud can be applied to your skin to help blend into the foliage, a la Schwarzenegger in Predator, and leaves can be gathered to make a rough camouflage ghillie suit. Trees can also be cut down, not only good for providing the wood you'll need to build yourself a cabin, but also for making it harder for the mutants to sneak up on you while you're trying to see out in the night. So basically, you can cut down the trees so they can't jump. They can't jump from tree to tree and kind of stalk you that way. Now, a little more about the combat. This is a direct quote. They're very hard to kill, and you have to be very violent to kill them, he continues. In lots of games, you can shoot someone in the leg 4 times and they die instantly, or you hit them with a stick and they die. But in our game, if you hit them with a stick to make them fall over, and then you get a rock and hit them over the head 3 or 4 times to kill them. We really want to get across that it's very difficult to actually kill someone, and that we want each kill the player performs to be something they feel some guilt about. What we don't want is just mindless killing. So they're not doing it just to make it ridiculously hard or brutal. They want you to actually feel like you're struggling to survive, and some of the things you may do may be a little questionable under other circumstances. Now, stealth needn't be entirely restricted to defense. It can also be used defensively, he explained. You can go into their caves and murder them in their sleep, which is an inspiration from I Am Legend. While you can choose to enter their caves, Falcon is eager to let slip that many of the more precious items are only found in places like that and deeper, and you'll need to brave the mutant's personal space in order to obtain them. The materials for a raft, for example, can be found deep in the caves, the construction of which will allow you to sail out to locations that could be otherwise inaccessible. Now, the deeper you go into the caves, the weirder and crazier the creatures get. There are some really cool character designs to support that, says Falcone. There are moments when you're walking through a cave and your light might go out temporarily as you catch a glimpse of something coming towards you. That's really terrifying. As for the final point of the day, we have co-op. Now, they haven't really said much aside from that they're kind of interested in trying it until now, which is their article for VG, I do believe. It says, when asked about co-op or multiplayer, they said, "We're experimenting with a co-op mode. It will probably be added to the game at some point during the alpha if all goes as planned." So that means in order to keep it alongside the single-player development, they want to introduce it in the alpha as early as they have the time and resources to, so they can make sure it's equally developed and worked on and gave feedback by the community. And personally, I think that's it's a pretty awesome addition to an already awesome game that, although not necessary, it probably will add quite a bit of cool stuff. Now, I hope you're all excited for this game as I am, and in the next few weeks I'm sure there'll be a lot more information coming out as we're nearing the release, which is said to be anywhere from now until the end of March. Now, they're trying to lock down a firmer release date, which I will probably make another video on as soon as we know. But until then, I guess we just have to keep our ears out and just keep waiting for this awesome game. So, I'm Evan here from Survivalist Gaming, and hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like and a comment below, or if not, you can just leave a bit of constructive criticism down in the comments, and it's well appreciated. Have a good day.